Eris was already an incredibly strong swordswoman before she left Rudy. She had been trained by Ghislaine, among others, and Ghislaine holds the rank of Sword King, making her one of the very few swordsmen to have achieved such an enormous rank. There are probably not even 100 Sword Kings, North Kings, or Water Kings combined. As a result, the status and wealth of Lord Soros Boreas Greyrat, Eris's grandfather, needed to be significant, allowing him to hire such a prestigious fighter and have her work for him. And Ghislaine certainly paid off for Rudy and Eris, as she was the one who saved them both from kidnappers. Ghislaine also trained Rudy and Eris, bringing her to the intermediate rank, while Rudy repaid Ghislaine by teaching her reading, writing, and magic. Eris continued her training under Ruijerd, who trained her over several months until she likely reached the advanced rank or possibly even beyond. Ruijerd, as a spearman, had some other techniques and training methods that Eris could not have learned from Ghislaine, considering Ruijerd was the captain of Laplace's elite guard. Even Orsted ominously commented on how much Eris had improved, even though he could easily counter her. After leaving Rudy with perhaps the most misunderstandable letter in the history of anime relationships, she set off with Ghislaine to a specific place. And here comes a spoiler warning for those who only know the anime. Eris and Ghislaine continued their journey, and Eris ended up in the far northwest of the central continent, in the Sword Sanctum. There, the current sword god, Galfarian, taught the art of the sword god style. And Eris had to prove herself worthy of these halls, and she did so by sheer will and determination, without further training or preparation, but supported by her inner aggression and restlessness, something she could project outward using a technique taught to her by Ruijerd. The first fight between Gino Britz, a sword saint, and Eris was decisive. Gino was completely surprised by Eris's aggression and relentlessness, who without any formality or restraint immediately went for the decisive strike. Ghislaine had trained her well, Ruijerd had refined her, and her real battle experience had made her an extremely strong swordsman, strong enough to defeat the sword saint Gino with a single blow. This enraged Nina Farian, Galfarian's daughter and also a sword saint, who chose to duel Eris with a wooden sword with an iron core, intending to crush Eris's bones and end her without the need for a sharp blade. However, Nina Farian was also defeated by Eris, proving that Eris's victory over Gino was no fluke. In other words, even before her training in the Sword Sanctum under Galfarian, Eris had become strong enough to take on sword saints. In other words, she had, by all standards, become one herself, making her the sword-fighting equivalent of Roxy Magurdia at the beginning of Season 1. But Eris's training continued, not only in the sword god style. Galfarian also hired other powerful swordsmen from other schools to train Eris, and one of them quickly experienced her temperament. Unlike Ghislaine's training, Galfarian decided not to restrain or calm Eris's raw, unpolished aggression, but instead make it her strength. Galfarian regretted that Ghislaine seemed to have lost away too much aggression, anger, and inner fire, and he wanted things to be different with Eris. He also had another goal with this training. He wanted Eris Greyrat to become strong enough to have a chance against none other than his arch-enemy, the dragon god Orsted, whom Galfarian had hopelessly lost to. Eris was to become his tool of revenge, and these factors led to Wild Eris, full of rage and impatience, attacking Auber Corvette, one of the three swords of the North God sword style. Auber was shocked at how much aggression and anger Eris displayed, attacking without losing a word. He was even more astonished when he realized that he was supposed to train her. And again, Auber was only able to defend himself successfully against Eris, because he clearly stood above her, as he was a North Emperor, a living legend and, as mentioned, only one of the three swords of the North God, with only Kalman III standing above him in terms of strength in this fighting style. And that concludes the training Eris received off-screen by the end of Season 2. She is likely now somewhere between Sword Saint and Sword King, something that Nina Farian and Gino Britz used as motivation to train even more. And her victory over Nina Farian was also the reason she showed up at the Academy of Renoa to see Rudy up close, even though she later lost to Badigati later. In other words, Eris is already extremely powerful, even if she's only halfway through her training, which was evident in the battle against the assassins of the Blessed Child of the Theocracy of Milis. However, as mentioned, she is not yet done with her training and will continue to grow stronger, learn more, and is already more than just a mere student of the sword god style thanks to her training from Ruijerd and Albert Corvette. But she also retained the characteristic aggression that defines the sword god style, giving her more combat experience and flexibility than many other sword saints have. Okay, bye.